This AI-driven cold email template made me $1.1 million in sales this year. I mean, yeah, honestly, I can hardly believe it either. Let's call it like it is here. I'm not really the smartest guy on the block. You know, the other YouTuber bros you watch on here where everything seems so light and easy all the time. No, I like to overthink things and make simple stuff way harder than it needs to be. But when you can send AI-driven cold emails to land clients like I'm about to show you and get 10, 20, and even 30% positive reply rates on every email you send, well, it's just kind of hard to mess it up. In this video, I'm going to transfer this method of cold email over to you so you can crack a doodle-doo at least $1 million doing it. All this without being a Python tech genius or, gosh, even a really cool YouTube bro. Oh yeah, I should mention too, I also have nothing to sell you. No secret school community or any crazy offer at the end. These videos are still just for fun. And the business I'm talking about in this video is a short form content agency I run with my co-founder, Ty. We work with some of the largest podcasters in a wicked specific niche and engineer their shorts for them to go viral. But here's the deal. I think every business owner in the world should be using some form of cold outreach. But do you ever wonder why 95% of the people that try cold outreach get horrible results? Let's pretend you're walking down a busy street of small shops. The first shop you walk by has some guy named Steve outside on a stool with a megaphone shouting about features of his natural soap, begging to give away his bucket of samples. The next shop you walk past is a modern, dimly lit, luxurious looking storefront with a few associates out having one-on-one personal conversations with, passing customers to see if they're qualified to come inside and try out this high-end anti-aging skincare product. Well, I mean, let's just be honest. Which one do you think is going to do $1 million in sales the quickest? Pretty obvious. It's the second store. It's more personable. It provides higher level of status, creates exclusivity by attracting high-end clientele of real buyers and not just tire-kicking sample takers. But most people, including myself when starting cold outreach, sound a lot more like broadcaster Steve over here. And I'll tell you, it does not work. So the key to winning with cold outreach is acting more like storefront number 2. But how do you do that? For starters, when we launched our offer, it sucked. Too broad, trying to attract everyone. We were set up to go after coaches, agency owners, business influencers, tech companies, like just too many people. But step 1 is deciding who you really want to serve with the offer. And of course, that's going to be who we're sending the emails to in a little bit. Also, pro tip here, pick an extremely small market who at first. Think of a total addressable market of, 5,000 or less. And this just makes the whole process so much easier in my experience, at least to getting to that first million or so. All right, so step 2 is pretty obvious. You'll start sending out a small batch of emails to the top decision makers in your market. These are folks that actually carry weight in your space. The medical field calls these key opinion leaders. So I stole that from them, and now you'll sound really smart at your next cocktail party. But when I started this process, I remember we were only sending like 10 or 15 emails a day. Anyways, you reach out to these KOL folks, only asking for feedback on your product or service. You can use some basic web scraping and AI summarization like we talk about on the channel to reference a data point about them in the email. You can set up your email to say something like this with your referenced data point in it. Loved your post. Hi, Tom. I read your blog post this morning on why you should read each email in your inbox. Again, that would be a summarized data point, which is custom to each contact, of course. Can't lie. I thought this was clever and a little bit troll. LOL. Last month, I finished building an AI tool that edits videos from your iPhone camera roll into mini storylines with a great hook for social media. Each clip being based on a recent blog article. Again, we're probably talking to someone that's massive in the blog space or newsletter space. We rolled this out with Voxtron, and Sheila got 3.3 million views on one TikTok in less than a week. Kinda nutty, to be honest. Being there also in the blogging space, it would mean the world if you'd be willing to give me feedback on what I'm building. Are you opposed to taking a look? Honestly, pretty simple and straightforward. Now at this point, you're just chopping wood, setting up intro calls. Why do you have to do this? Because I said so. Honestly, it's so you can gather the intel you need to make a real offer, a big boy offer. Plus, sure, you'll probably land a good chunk of these feedback key opinion leaders as clients. I know we did. In fact, Ty and I had done probably our first $90,000 to about $130,000 in revenue just going after sort of the top folks in the market. Keep in mind, a client is a client, and convincing someone to get your service isn't all that different to go after the big folks than it is to go after your everyday Joe Schmo. And you need to remember that. If you're following along with this process, at this point, you've picked your small segment of the market you're going to serve, figured out who your key opinion leaders are, made connections with them by sending small batch personalized emails, and even started serving some of them with your product or service. Let's even say that you've got a few of them a good result. Maybe your stuff even works. Wouldn't that be crazy? Now it's time to take the process to the next level, and we're gonna make your million. We're gonna put that $1,000,000 in your bank account. Essentially, you're going to be reaching out to these folks who would be influenced by your key opinion leaders. Instead, at this stage of the game, it's now all about volume. And if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know we're not just gonna rip these leads from Apollo or some other database. That's just not how you get the silly high response rates that we're after here. A Catalyst database is any website where your prospect is showing up and actively doing something. These are places like guest posts on a blog, industry directories, podcasts, LinkedIn posts, anywhere they might be active and online. They don't just exist there because someone put them there, they're actively there. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get about 20 to 30 segments of context that you can pull from all these different sources that we just talked about. Once you've got those done, it's time for the magic email template you've been waiting for. Again, these will be summarized depending on where you got the data from, but here's an example of a podcast. Hi, Sarah. I listened to your podcast episode this week on how AI is changing the blogging industry for the better. Your take is refreshing. The AI short form tool I created helps newsletters and bloggers in our space like Pat Flynn, John Lee Dumas, and Morning Brew to launch insanely viral clips based on their recent articles. It's so dialed in, I can guarantee it will 3x your social media views in 30 days. Mind if I share more info? Now, as you summarize that first line based on where you actually got the data from, and this is an offer that would be validated to your audience, this is going to work extremely well. This same exact style of script and method I've shown you has my reply rate at scale at about 12.5%, and you can see here we've only really converted about 10% of the pipeline value. That's all great, but even experts miss the mark on gathering Catalyst database, making this magical email template a total waste. So next, watch this video to make sure you've got the tools to gather leads that turn directly into clients. Catch you in the next one.